Are people stupid? I had a discussion once with someone who was not a flat earther, but nevertheless found some of the flat earthers' arguments persuasive, or at least he couldn't see any way to refute them. I tried to explain a couple of things to him on a scientific basis, and he quickly found himself lost. And sure, some of these things can be difficult to understand. One of the reasons why conspiracy theories appeal to people, I think, is because they seem to present simple, understandable explanations for things. But reality is a lot more complicated than that, and people don't like complexity. They like to keep things simple. It takes less energy and less effort to go down what seems to be the simpler path, the path of least resistance. Because, essentially, I think people are lazy rather than stupid. So I think sometimes at least what we interpret as stupidity or ignorance is actually laziness. People don't want to have to think too hard. It takes too much energy. It's also so much easier to see everything about the world in terms of either or. And once you've chosen your option, to stick to that come what may. There are other possibilities though, and I like to encourage them in myself. It's possible, for instance, to hold two or more positions simultaneously. In a video I watched recently, someone suggested that this is a kind of analogy to what happens in quantum physics, a phenomenon called superposition. This being able to hold two ideas, perhaps even contradictory ideas, simultaneously is a kind of cognitive superposition. In physics, the idea is that a particle can be in several states simultaneously, and the particle only resolves into one of these states when it's observed. The wave function collapses. And it's a bit like this with cognitive superposition. It's possible to hold both of these ideas at the same time, but at some point the evidence may point more strongly in one direction rather than the other. And at that point, we make a choice and a kind of commitment, and the wave function, if you like, collapses. One of these options becomes true for us. The matter is resolved. Maybe in some cases it's even possible to hold on to both of these positions indefinitely, because in some way both ideas seem necessary to account for our experience of reality. This capacity to hold even contradictory ideas simultaneously requires that we be comfortable with three closely related concepts: ambiguity, uncertainty, and duality. Interestingly, quantum physics can, by analogy, I think, shed light on each of these things. When we talk about superposition, we're saying that the particle is somehow in many states simultaneously. This corresponds with ambiguity. The state of the particle is ambiguous. But there's another phenomenon in quantum physics whereby knowing one property of a particle means that we can't know another property. This is the uncertainty principle. So, for example, if we know the precise position of a particle, we can't know its momentum and vice versa. This requires that we live with uncertainty, at least in the realm of quantum physics. There's one more principle that we can draw from quantum physics, and that is duality. This is expressed in the idea that a fundamental particle is both a wave and a particle. And sometimes it behaves in a more particle-like way, and at other times in a more wave-like way. This is counterintuitive. All of this is counterintuitive, yet seems necessary for a satisfactory understanding of reality at the quantum level. After a while, it doesn't even tingle the brain to accept that an electron or photon is both a wave and a particle. So there are three principles in quantum physics that seem useful when we're thinking about our knowledge of the world. Not only what we know, but the mode in which we know. These principles are ambiguity, uncertainty, and duality. If we're willing to stop taking the easy, lazy path and thus to not appear stupid, These are the principles that we need to embrace in our quest for knowledge. I think if you can do this, some of the stupid arguments on both sides of a debate disappear because you stop thinking in terms of perfect clarity, of certainty, and of unity. Of course, you may never be in your comfort zone again either.